Okay, so the topic that I'm exploring is how is neuroscience mobilized to market food imitating products, or FIPs? And my inclusion slash exclusion criteria is as defined in the introduction, CPRF, or consumer products resembling foods, are a subset of consumer products such as cosmetics and liquid household products which in design, shape, or presentation resemble food and could mistakenly be consumed by children or the elderly. Now, going through my reference list in alphabetical order, the first article that supports this criteria comes from with a product for sensing some accidental sipping. And in this article, the point made is that Fabuloso, which is obviously a cleaning agent, is sold in purple, blue, yellow, and green varieties and packaged in 1 liter transparent plastic bottles that resemble soft drink containers. So these products are marketed to appeal to customers in these bright, flashy colors or metaphorically represent food products, which will make the consumer more inclined to buy them. But as you can see from the information up here, there have been 104 records of human ingestion of this cleaning agent. So clearly, this whole misleading packaging issue has not only happened one time. The next article is assessing the role of shape and label in the misleading packaging of food imitating products from empirical evidence to policy recommendation. The point I'm gathering from this is their containers replicate elements of food package design, such as possessing a shape close in style to the drinking product containers or bearing labels that depict colorful fruits. In marketing, these incongruent forms are designed to increase the appeal of functional products, leading to chemical consumer product embellishment. However, due to the resulting visual ambiguity, food imitating products may expose consumers to the risk of being poisoned from ingestion. Thus, from a public health perspective, FIPs are considered dangerous chemical products that should not be sold and may merit being recalled for the safety of consumers. So, here we're addressing the fact that FIPs are indeed very dangerous and will lead consumers to feel inclined to drink them or consume them because of the flashy packaging which resemble edible foods when in fact they should not be consumed at all. Now, it's all a neuromarketing technique that when consumers see something that is appealing to them, obviously they're more inclined to buy them. But in turn, this is causing a big problem in the public health industry as obviously these toxins should not be consumed. Next article is called Why People Drink Shampoo. Food imitating products are fooling brains and endangering consumers for marketing purposes. And this directly fits my inclusion criteria because of this point. The essence of a metaphor is to experience one kind of thing in terms of another. In the case of FIPs, metaphors such as hygiene products are food draws attention of people purchasing household cleaners to an appealing and somewhat positive aspect of the product while masking their more negative and sometimes dangerous features. So, the physical look of these products will sort of elicit this emotion of happiness because food obviously makes people happy. These scents or colors that are sort of um, let's bring back memories of happiness or whatever. And food, like their imagination is more, I want to say, triggered with good emotions. So, like masking the the purpose of these hygiene products, which is like to clean or to sweep or whatever, that doesn't really elicit emotions, like good emotions. So when you're masking them or disguising them behind food, happy colors, and all these products that smell nice, it makes them more inclined to buy these products because they're they're like imposing this happiness that comes along with it, if you know what I mean. Next article is called Measuring the Persuasive Power of Consumerist Activism, an experimental study on the polity model applied to food imitating products. So, this article goes into consumerist behaviors and The point that I'm grabbing from it is the commercial interest of food imitating products is that they play on the consumer's subjectivity by evoking a food experience. Similar to the last article, the emotions being closely related to a mental representation triggered by foods through their content, odor, color, appearance, and their packaging, label, volume, or size. FIPs contribute to differentiating offer on mature markets, with the food attributes of the packaging of these personal care products translating the encounter of marketing and design and participating in the staging of the point of sale and reenchantment of the purchase experience. So again, when you're advertising these products in a way that is appealing to customers, obviously they're more inclined to buy them. However, in turn, these food related characteristics make them more inclined to consume. So this sort of confusion leads to accidental poisoning or unintentional consumption of these products. Next, we come to this article called Warning, Beverage Like Bottle Holds Cleaner. Again, in reference to things like Fabuloso, which can easily be mistaken as like Gatorade, energy drinks, or whatever, and like mouthwash. So, the point that I grasp from this is the very things that make cleaner, eye-catching, and attractive are what will tempt someone to pop the cap and drink it. Again, this all goes with the neuroscience of marketing and like what will trigger one's brain to be attracted to something or to deem something as appealing. So they use like bright colors, odors, things like that that are similar to foods. Next article, consumers are being misled by food imitating products, a new study finds. And the claim is backed up by a 2015 study in which 16,000 poisoning care cases were reported in the OECD involving adults and children who ate colorfully packaged liquid laundry pods which resemble sweets. That study led to a global awareness raising campaign on laundry detergent capsules involving 26 products from 5 continents. So here, because like doing laundry and these household chores allude to like a negative perception of life, or like, oh, we don't want to be doing these chores, like, or this isn't fun, like that's not what I want to be spending my time doing. So the marketing technique is to make these chemicals, chores, products more appealing in disguising them as food and tailoring the packaging into a way where consumers will be satisfied and want to buy them. And as you can see, like this neuromarketing technique is rather dangerous, as many studies have shown that this type of neuromarketing leads to unintentional poisoning, unfortunately. And this article is Why Do Brands Cause Trouble? A Dialectical Theory of Consumer Culture and Branding. And this touches more on the not the consumer but the company producer side of how they want their products to align with consumer interests, so what they must do to fit those standards of consumer interests. The concept consumer culture refers to the dominant mode of consumption that is structured by the collective actions of firms in their marketing activities. To work properly, capitalism requires a symbiotic relationship between market prerogatives and the cultural frameworks that orient how people understand and interact with the market's offerings. The cultural structuring of consumption maintains political support for the market system, expands market, and increases industry profits. So essentially, these companies want to align with what they know consumers will purchase, because it's all a big business thing. They just want to make money. So whatever they got to do to manipulate the consumer mind into spending money on these products is what they will do. Now, this This one right here, misidentification of non-edible household products. This one has got to be my favorite of all articles because what they did was conduct a study among college students, so people relative to my age, and they were holding up pictures of all these products, such as these guys right here, and then the subjects had time to categorize whether they were like without the labels or anything. So no words, no on the labels or anything. And then subjects were given time to categorize whether they thought that these products were edible or non-edible, safe and whatnot. And the point I'm grabbing from this is that in each of the three studies, non-food household products with a misleading appearance were frequently mistaken for edible products by college students. Furthermore, participants tended to respond more slowly and with lower confidence to ambiguous than normal-looking items, suggesting a degree of confusion about their appearance and intended use. So this article directly fits my inclusion theory because these food imitating products insinuate a level of degree or a degree of confusion as to what their intended use is for. So it's hard for them to differentiate, whether this is for cleaning or like whether it's for drinking. Like companies are making it very difficult to distinguish what their intended use for products are, and this study gives a first-hand review of that. Next, this article is this one right here, Marketing Causes and Implications of Consumer Confusion. And what this article is doing is basically stating, that product confusion can result in potential misuse of a product, which can lead to dissatisfaction, lower sales, return products, stuff like that, poor brand image. But essentially what I'm getting from this article is that when a customer is not fully educated and knowledgeable on the product that they're using, it is more it's easier for them to misuse a product, which can eventually lead to unintentional poison consumption. So there must be like a very defined guideline for what exactly consumers are buying so that they don't accidentally misuse the product. And lastly, this article is called Why Intelligent Adults Mistake Household Cleaning Products for Food. Don't drink the Fabuloso. And the point that supports my criteria is the authors write that marketing a cleaning product is difficult because it has inherent, not so entertaining baggage. Exactly, like sweeping and scrubbing. To overcome this, marketers use metaphors associated with food, the latter being way more appealing and pleasurable than hygiene products. So, displaying these products in all these more mentally stimulating designs is what eventually gets the product to be bought. However, because they're so closely aligned with things that come across as edible to consumers, they're more inclined to be consumed or ingested. So these flashy bottles or these really good smells are what gets the consumer to buy the product. However, that can turn out badly when they start thinking that things like that are ingestible. So that basically concludes it for my inclusion criteria. All of these articles really tackle like how the neuroscience behind marketing gets people to buy the product, but it's becoming quite the public health issue when these chemicals and toxins are consumed. And from this article, the one that was my favorite one, this one right here, if it was difficult enough for college students to distinguish between non-edible and edible products, like just imagine how that would be for children or the elderly. Like these companies should not be marketing products that are so easily confused with food just for health reasons and safety reasons. Now, moving on to the exclusion criteria, my first article comes from here, which is Analysis of Scientific Language of Household and Cleaning Products Labeling and Its Educational Implications. And from this article, I grasped, in order to achieve a proper level of scientific literacy, individuals should follow 3 steps: being able to read, to understand, and to interpret the information. And this is classified in my exclusion theory, or in my exclusion criteria, because basically what they're saying in this, is that it's on the consumer to be able to distinguish between these products and like clearly identify its purpose. So they're putting the blame on the consumers, but I have to disagree with that because it's the companies that are intentionally trying to trick the human brains into thinking that this product is one thing when really it's not. So there's this gap between what the companies are putting out there and what the consumers are understanding, and I do not believe that it is on the consumers to have to know that, like, oh, this smells like food, so I shouldn't eat it. And again, for my last article in my exclusion criteria, it is called Some Dietary Supplements Resemble Drugs More Than Food. And from this, I highlighted samples of one of those dietary supplements the company claimed in its press release about the recall had even undergone analysis, with the testing facility reporting it had not detected any phosphodiesterase type 5 inhibitor or analog in the capsules. And from this, what I'm classifying as my exclusion theory is that this is one of those instances where there's company error, there's user error in putting out the product. So in this article, they're basically saying that the dietary supplements that the company was putting out on the shelves had no traces of the dietary factor in it, whereas it instead had other drugs, such as like the erectile dysfunction treatment. So this is saying that consumers ingesting these drugs and getting an adverse effect it isn't their fault. It's because the customer or the company's putting out these faulty products, and it shouldn't be on the customer's fault for ingesting something that they didn't know shouldn't be ingested. And that's why that fits under my exclusion criteria. Alrighty, and that concludes the end of my video. Thank you for watching.